Kane, it's 1-0. Fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all doing well, all refreshed and recuperated after a few days away. Well, I am anyway. And we're here now to talk about Norwich. Norwich City, Ellen Road, playoffs. Doesn't hold good memories for us. A little bit nervous. A little bit quietly confident, I would say so myself, if I'm being honest. But still nervous because it's Leeds United and we know how Leeds United do. In these occasions, five times we've been in the playoffs and never gone up once yet. So there's reasons to be nervous, but hopefully we can exercise them demons this season and at least get to the final, at least. And then we can, I don't know actually, would you rather, just a quick one lads, would you rather go out now than go to the final and lose? I think going to the final and losing's worse maybe, I don't know.
I like a day out, so I'd much rather go out.
Wembley is tempted, you know. Just been there once as Leeds United, you know, in the new one. So I think the Leeds fans, you know, will play either West Brom or Saints, and imagine 40,000 Leeds fans there. You know, it would be like playing at home. There will be like the players will be rocky and the players will be lifted, you know, in terms of mentality and all of that. You know, there will be the extra factor that.
Yeah,
so
true.
Absolutely the final, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The final.
Let me just shout out Leroy Cook, who's just become a member. Big up to you, Leroy. Thank you very much, buddy. Hope you are doing well. We're here then to talk about Norwich City. Before we do, let's just find out how everyone is after. What has it been? Wasn't 8 days. See, I'm still fucking tired from this season, all told, if I'm honest. I can't wait for it to be.
Too long,
just
too
4
long.
days. Yeah, just 4 days. Lockie, how are you feeling ahead of it, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. We were talking just behind the scene. Confident and nervous at the same time. Somewhere in between there. It's hard to explain. You know, been in this situation. It's difficult for us Leeds fans because we're used to disappointment. But you always get that hope, don't you? Once it comes close. You always get that hope, and I'm getting that now, and I'm really excited. I'm honestly so excited for tomorrow. I can't wait, mate.
Yeah,
really
it'll be good. Are you going to the game, aren't you? You and your pal, is that right? You excited? Yeah, I bet. Luke, you'll definitely be at the game, won't you, mate?
I'm not, mate. I've got a really important. I'm absolutely gutted.
What?
I was there on Sunday. No. I was there on Sunday, and I've got the girls tomorrow night, and one of them's football training till 7, so I've absolutely no way getting out first of all. But I've got quite an important work meeting very early Friday, so I wouldn't get back till 2:00 anyway. So it was up debatable whether I was going to go anywhere, and then I've got the girls, and that just completely made my mind up for me. I'd say myself, should we get to Wembley? I think I was there on Sunday, and it's quite similar to Lockie actually, somewhere between confident but nervous because you know we've been burnt before with the playoffs, certainly at home. But the way the game ended on Sunday with the players coming up to the fans, they spent a good few minutes there, and you probably didn't see that on the cameras. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sky wouldn't have shown that because the game was over, but they were just there, and they were taking it as much as we were, and it was just a battle cry. You know what I mean? It was. We were certainly the happier of the two fan bases at the end of that game. So, but then again, we were the happier of the two fan bases after Derby away, weren't we? All those 5 years ago, whatever it was. So, yeah, I am quietly confident. No, I don't think they have got much to. I think everything they could have offered, they would have offered at home. Do you know what I mean? And with Sargent as well, and everything. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to the nooks and crannies of it, but I just feel this time this is our moment, and I think we will get to Wembley. Whether we win or not, we win at Wembley is another conversation for probably next week if we get there.
Yeah, we will no doubt get stuck into it. But I hear I sort of tend to agree with you. I did see that video. I think Lewis put some out on social media, and Liam Cooper retweeted it and stuff as well, which is good. And it's also a nod to know that like the captain and that are aware of what's going on social media. I think a few people like realised they were blocked this week and all that sort of stuff. So it just shows they are in tune with it and obviously do care what the fans say and stuff. So I think Listen, everyone does their own thing, but yeah, it's nice to know I'm not one of those that's blocked by my club captain. That's all I'll say. Do you know what I mean? Big up
You'd be
Liam.
gutted. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you, George, if you found that out?
Oh, if I was, yeah, man. Listen, I remember a tweet I put, "I love you, Liam," and he liked it once, so that'll do me. We're best mates, basically, mate. You know what I mean? Andrea, how's the nerves for you in Italy, mate? Do you? I know you've just come through. You've just had your derby, Reggiana Parma. You've had the relegation playoff and that. So you're already in that mode, mate. This is water off a duck's back for you, eh?
Yeah, I'm calm, honestly. I'm on one hand, as a fan, I'm really surprised, honestly, because having been through the one against Derby. I remember vividly that game. I was more nervous back then.
Yeah.
This season, I don't know why, but maybe it's the attitude, of having already seen that when we played last time in the playoff semi-final. I know that it's not over. It looked like it was when we beat Derby at Pride Park because we dominated them. Then everything changed in the second leg. So I'm calm today, honestly, because I know that this is going to be a very long game for both teams, and I think we'll have a very totally different game plan compared to Carrow Road. They will have to, because I think their game plan worked for a bit on Sunday. Then they could have already created more for sure. They weren't clinical enough. They weren't sharp enough, like they were in the start of the first half. But yeah, I'm calm because I know that we have a very good team. They have too. So as a fan, I'm trying to remain calm tomorrow too. I will. But on the other hand, as looking at the tactical perspective, I'm really intrigued, honestly, because I don't think we'll play the same way we played.
So I was gonna get onto that. Like because you sort of led me into it. I was gonna leave it till later, but you mentioned that tactical switch and that 4-3-3 that we had, and basically it wasn't. From a defensive standpoint, it just wasn't challenged by Norwich. The game was I think we locked them off. After the first 15, 20 minutes, naturally they're at home, we locked them off. The only opposite thing was we didn't really create enough. And I was going to ask you, how does he, in this game, does he opt for the 4-2-3-1 again because it gives him more of attacking outlet, or do you think he'll keep the 4-3-3 but maybe have Gray more advanced, or how do you expect him to opt? Because I thought it worked, but we didn't create anything, and we're at home, so the onus is on us to go and win that game of football, right? So could he go back to 4-2-3-1? What would you do? Because I know you said before, Andre, to play 4-3-3. You weren't the only one. Many did. He did that. What would you do? What do you think he should do going into tomorrow night's game?
I think he should do the 4-3-3 again for me, because you have the option, and we've seen that, Gray, of course, it was the first time since many times. I think the last time was like when we played in Oslo, when he played there, and at Peterborough in the FA Cup. But we've seen certain times, of course, that he struggled to get involved. But when he was 1-2 touches, and he created space for the other players, because he was, with his back on goal. Then he came back, one touch, passes the ball, and you're passing them off very quickly. And then there's a player that can make the central run, Neil Gray. So I think he was very good in that specific part. So I will stay with the 4-3-3, honestly. I think the two styles on Sunday were very similar, honestly. And I think both teams nullified one another. It was one of the most boring games we've seen so far, but we needed that, honestly. After we needed that point, honestly. If it was in that league game, it would have been a good point. It was the playoffs, of course, so 0-0. Everything is still open, still up for the take. I think it was, like Luke said, was a better result for us than for them because they were at home. But I think we found some fundamentals, some foundations again on Sunday, because in compared to the last run of games in the league, I think the team was more balanced. Like you said, Joe, we defended very well.
Yeah.
Because we nullified them, but they did too, because they nullified us too. It was like a chess game where everyone made the same moves, So that's why I'm intrigued, because I think Farke will make some adjustment in that 4-3-3 with the positioning of Gray, like you said. I think will be more higher, And I think Kamara will have the space to go forward more too. The fullbacks will need to get involved more, because Firpo was more involved than Byram. Byram was very more balanced compared to Firpo. The problem in that game plan, I think it was a very good one, but the problem was that we didn't have a number 9.
Yeah.
If we had the number 9 like Bamford, for example, one that moves like him, I think that would be a perfect game plan to inflict some pain on the football pitch, of course, on the Norwich side, of course, to create some damage up front, to try to score some goals. But without the number 9, it works differently. So I'm really intrigued to see if he plays Rutter again, because I think he struggled massively on Sunday. I think he was poor. He struggled to understand and read the game for multiple times on Sunday. I think he will play again Rutter, because I don't think Pirro offered much compared to him either. So we'll see. But yeah, I will stick with the 4-3-3, maybe with some adjustments, and I think they will too. They will have some adjustment to Norwich, because Wagner is very similar to Farke.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. It's very, very similar.
100%. Luke, I think I'm just laughing at the comments.
What happened?
Oh, no, I'm just laughing at someone in the comments that was on another channel. Donna. Big up, Donna.
You got all bashful, Joe.
No, he's a wind-up merchant on another channel, that's all. It's just made me laugh. Yeah, Luke, so obviously that 4-3-3 and Andrea picked up on a few like tactical nuances and stuff. Is there a shout for me, and I don't know how you feel, do you think it was personnel as well from a creative standpoint or an attacking standpoint that maybe nullified it a bit? Would you maybe look to drop, say, Rutter and bring in Pirro, so it's more of a proper number 9, or Joe? And he's not. Let's not even talk about Joseph, because he's not going to fucking do it. Yeah. But like, would Pirro have been better, Luke, playing in that Rutter role in that system of 4-3-3? I don't know. I almost feel the 4-3-3 is more suited to Pirro playing in a 9 than it was Rutter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That I think if you sort of watch the game back, the only time Rutter was on the back foot of the defenders was the time when we got awarded offside for the goal. I think Rutter's instructions were to almost play like a 10 and try and bring the wingers into it. He was quite deep a lot, which I think was all part of the game plan. So yeah, absolutely think that at home, I think that will change. And I've called for it on our channel last night. I think it's a big call, because we know how good he is on his day and how much he can change a game. But in that same system, if you drop anybody, it's probably going to be Rutter for a striker, whether that's Joseph or whether that's, I mean, it's probably not going to be Joseph, but probably Pirro. Does Pirro offer the same? I don't think he can offer much less than what Rutter offered at the weekend. I thought it was relatively anonymous. So yeah, I think pretty much spot on. I think if we're going to be taking, I think we will see a different Norwich side as well. In honesty, I think they will be sat back a lot more. I think there was only really Rowe and the other lad, I forget his name.
Sainz,
yeah, who caused us any sort of issues or problems. I mean, Sargent won a few headers against Rodon, but very little off the back of it, and Byram. I think the only time they got through was when Byram made that great challenge. So I think we'll see a much more reserved and listening to Wagner's comments as well, saying, look, the longer the game goes on, the more chance we've got of winning it. I think they might even be coming to play for penalties. I'll be honest with you. So yeah, I think for me, there'd be two changes I'd be looking to make, and one would be dropping Rutter and bringing a striker, an out-and-out striker on, whether that's Pirro or Joseph. Ideally Bamford, as you say there, said earlier, because these sort of games are made for him, I think. But the other one would potentially be Connor Roberts in as well for Byram, because I think he's a bit more of an attacking outlet down that right-hand side. Now, we will suffer defensively if we make those two changes, because Pirro won't drop as deep as Rutter, and Roberts simply isn't, a traditional right back. He's a right wing back, similar to what Firpo does on the other side. So we will suffer defensively, but I think with the three in midfield, I'm actually giving a little bit more of license to get into the 10 behind Pirro. I think will benefit us, and it'll be something we haven't really seen this season as well.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what's been said already. Lockie, what are your thoughts? Would you maybe look at Dan James as well? Obviously, Dan James had a good impact coming on. Could he cause problems on the right? Gnonto's petulance at times can be a bit of a worry. Is that something that Norwich and Wagner might look at and say, look, see if you can get in, because you can sort of tell with Nanto, if he's had a decision not go his way in first 10, 15 minutes, you can tell he's just going to have one of them type of games if he whinges, where someone needs to get hold of him at times and be like, just fucking get your head on and stop, getting, like, the whole clapping of the referee thing was just idiotic at the time. I thought you're just asking for it there. But even taking that out, would you maybe look at James, or what do you think, what's been said already?
I think with Dan James, when he came on, I'll show a graphic in a sector if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
It was very, very high. Nanto played a lot more centrally and deeper. James is literally last man, stay wide, getting behind type winger, and he's really good at that. So I think in terms of that and his match fitness recently, he's come back from injury, he's not played a lot. I do think he'll stick with the same in terms of that. But I just wanted to mention something about Archie Gray, if that's all right. I've just got some screenshots from the game. It's not deep, 100%. It's just screenshots showing his position. I was watching this afternoon. Trying to find it. I was watching the game this afternoon because I'm a loser. I've got too much time left. But I was looking at the formation and the way we played when we attacked, and it's so interesting how kind of fluid it is in terms of the player movement. Now, this is when we've maintained the ball, and you can see how Norwich are narrow again. And I think these guys here, and look where Archie Gray is in all these positions. And this is what I found interesting. Like Andrea said, I thought he played a lot deep, but actually, a lot of the time, he's that advanced runner every time. The problem for me, Joe, was we didn't find him. He made these runs all day. All day. Yeah, all day. Like you can see there, we dragged the full back out, spacing behind Archie Gray's recognised it. He's done it. Same again here. Look, we got the ball. He's looking. He's high up in that wide space. Not really in midfield at all. Again, Rutter goes out wide. Archie Gray takes the central space between centre backs. This is endless. The press. Archie Gray initiated it centrally. Like I could. And again, we've got the ball this second half. Look who's the main man at the top. It's Archie Gray again. And it's just constant. Look at the front line again. Archie Gray's central in that. He was key for me in making these runs in behind. But I don't think we found him. I think that was the issue. There he is again, really advanced.
But sorry, Lockie, just to interrupt. Do we need to find him, or is he doing a little bit of what Bamford would do that Rutter doesn't do? Is he just pulling players away to give space to your wingers, and Rutter, I suppose? Is it some? I mean, ideally, we'd like to find him because the majority of graphics you've shared there looks like he's in a decent position. Do you know what I mean? But actually seeing him in space and actually getting the ball to him are two very, very different things. So whilst he's not necessarily receiving the ball in those areas, he's still doing a useful job and something that's beneficial to the team. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, without doubt, he was really effective. It's kind of quietly effective in that sense. But I don't know the instruction. I don't know if Farkas telling him, look, make these false runs. But the next one I'll show you here, when Kamara's got the ball here, that centre back's been dragged out by Jorginho. He makes that running behind, and you can definitely get one over there. And it's them ones there that I just think that's a real option. And that is something we have to exploit. He did it against Blackburn 4 or 5 times as well. I just think he's really good at it. I think that's something we can use it as a decoy. Or in this position here, that's the best option for me instead of going back. It's one ball through, it's over. I think he's in. If he's making them runs 2 or 3 times a game, I think he's there to be found. I really do. And that's what I really like about Archie. For me, Archie's better when he's forward and backwards. I don't like Archie sideways. That's not his skill set for me. And I think he enjoys going forwards and backwards. That's why it worked at right back for him. But yeah, there's a lot of times in the game. But what he did say about his defensive position then, he did get back and he did mark the central CDM for them. He did that really well. And that's what's key with Archie in that position as opposed to Jorginho. Archie can go forward, but he can also do this bit really well. And this defensive shape here is brilliant. There's nothing through the central areas. Sarah tried to move. Rose been marked out. Somerville even did a decent job at that. And I thought it was really effective. And look, this is the average position. And Archie's 22. And just look how high he is. Jorginho's our striker at 24, by the way. On average, he's higher than him. The only person higher than him is Crete and Nanto. And there, look, Dan James, when he came on, just hooking that high right side. But yeah, that's just something I was interested in to do with Archie Gray.
Do you think we were too conservative then away from home, or do you just put it on the players having the quality to find him? Because my thing is, and this is why Ampadu sort of becomes important and has been in midfield, because he probably tries to make them passes, doesn't he? Whereas Gruev and Kamara are very, safety first kind of thing,
Yeah, it is. I think we worked on all week was our defensive shape. I think that's clear with the formation. Putting Archie in there, I think a lot of his work was based defensively, because we did do a really good job midfield defensively, I thought, for the most part anyway.
Because Kenny McLean barely got on it as well, right?
McLean,
And he was
Sarah, for his standards, was relatively quiet, and Nunes, relatively quiet for his standards, unless he was really deep, but we were not really bothered about that. So that was really impressive for me. But I think it's clear that when he made these runs, or like I showed you there, we had 5 across the front, quite a lot in the game. We didn't really find them. We often went out wide and we didn't quite get the runs right. I think there's work to be done there, but I think that's a positive for me that they're in these advanced positions. It's just about finding those connections. Midfielders or whoever's on the ball, fullbacks, being brave and actually cutting them passes through with them and finding them, because they're capable. If Archer's making that run, like Luke said, it can be take the defender away. Of course, Bamford's excellent at that, like we said, but every now and again, that can also be a ball to him and it will work. I think we've got to be brave with that.
Do you think that might be the difference between home and away? Do you think we might try those types of passes rather than
honestly?
Yeah, going back to what Joe said, maybe being that little bit conservative, and Farker saying just keep it tight. Let's leave here with something to play for at Ellen Road, and then when we get to Ellen Road, let's make these sort of passes happen. Let's try something different. Losing possession in their third isn't that dangerous, is it? We've still got 6, 7, 8 players behind the ball, even if Cree and Archie and everybody else are in those positions. So, I think that might be the difference.
Yeah,
I think we'll see.
I think that's what we need.
Yeah, I think we'll see Gray playing more like in the way Rotter plays, in 10. So I think you need to give him freedom to move around, to be like the third man in midfield, like with Gruyev more deep and Kamara on his left, and Gray on his right. And let's give him the freedom to move, to get into spaces, to get the ball, we know that Gruyev is our playmaker, and he's struggling in the game, I think, Gruyev. Not in the second half when the two teams sat back more, but in the first half when intensity was there, I think Gruyev struggled, because in high tempo and intensity games, Gruyev struggles because he needs time and space to make a play, to read where to make the pass. So in this kind of high intensity games, he struggles a little bit more. But usually he's our playmaker from the back, when he has the space to create, to find other players to move the ball around with the long ball towards the wingers, Gray can be, with the way he plays, with his technique, can be the second playmaker in this team. We've seen this pattern a lot in football. Like, for example, you've seen Inter Milan, they have Thuram. Thuram is like that for them. He plays behind Lautaro Martinez, and he makes similar runs to the one that Loki showed, about Gray on the back. But he also comes back and he's like a second playmaker. 1-2 touches, then goes into the area, goes near the ball. 1 touch, passes the ball, then sprints into another space. Also Bologna, now they have qualified for the Champions League. Zigze, probably we've seen him at Euro 2024 with Holland, Very similar physically to Rotter. I think Rotter can evolve into that type of player. He needs to, because if he wants to build his future into the number 10 position, he needs to look at what Zigze does, for example. Zigze is the same. He's a prolific striker, but if you look at him, he goes back. He always goes near the ball, I think Gray can do that, in the number 10 position. He didn't do that at Carrow Road because he needs more. We needed to be more conservative, probably, and it was a new thing for all the team. So I don't think Kamara and Kamara and Gruyev were used to it, so they needed to get used to it with the verticality passes. Ampel was more used to that. I think if Gray goes back more near the ball, for example, when the ball goes to a fullback, Gray can switch from the right to left. If the ball goes to Firpo, Gray, like on one of the slides that Lucky showed, Gray was near Firpo there. If the ball goes to Roberts or Byram, he can go there. In the number 10, especially in this system, needs to be given freedom to move around, because you don't give like a point of reference. I don't know if it's the right terminology, but you don't give a tail, a sign to the defender. So you always take one defender to with you. So you shake that cap the defense, because one defender or the DM has
like
to
a
follow
decoy,
you.
like a decoy.
Yeah, exactly.
The
decoy. Let's for example talk about Kenny McLean. If Gray moves to the left, McLean follows him. You pass the ball to Gray, he can pass the ball to, for example, Kamara arriving from the back. because he has moved McLean from a certain area of space, and he's free space for another player. Let it be, Rotter or Pirot or one of the two midfielders. So the number 10 is the key, absolutely tomorrow, absolutely the key tomorrow for me.
Hopefully.
And I think Gray can be really the surprise player tomorrow in our system in the way we'll play, because he'd be the key one, absolutely 100% for me.
100%. Hopefully we can definitely find him on the runs that he makes as well. We've had a couple of member shouts. Just big up Ethan as well, who's I think I started members 36 months ago, and I think he was my first member. So it's insane that he's still there. So yeah, big up to Ethan. He says really nervous tomorrow. We don't have a good history in the playoff, but Oscar says the record is there to be broken on Leeds, 2-0 Leeds, yeah. And Andy says we must score first to put the pressure on Norwich, or I fear the worst. And this is what I was going to ask you, like, how do we go for this? Because the way my head is, right, because, like what Luke said as well, if we can go out in the first 20 minutes, press them high, try blitz them early doors, and get a goal when we're on top, it then means that Norwich have to come out, right? They have to come out and score, otherwise the tie's done. At which point, for me, we're the best team in transition in this league. I believe that fact. Or in the regulation season, I think, we've shown that against certain teams, like the goal against Huddersfield. I know it's not the same level of opponent, but we score in, I don't know, I think it was about 24 seconds, whatever it was. We showed against, Middlesbrough how quick we can score in transition. I think even the goal that we scored against Norwich, if you look at the build-up, how quick that was from back to front, and Firpo puts it in, I think we need to score early. If I'm Daniel Farker, I'm saying you go out there and you go for the first 20 minutes all out, all you can, because like Luke said earlier, Wagner's probably going to try shithouse it. The last time he got Huddersfield promoted, they didn't even score in open play. It was penalties. They end up going on penalties in the final against, I think it might have been Forest, I can't remember. No, Reading. Stam's Reading, yeah. Two terrible teams. But how would you go about it? Because I do fear that if it's 0-0 at 45 minutes and Leeds have created shit, that's when Ellen Road becomes not a good place to be. It becomes a nervous place, a cagey place. They get to the 60th minute, it's still 0-0, and I'm just free kick. I'm thinking corner. They're going to shithouse it 1-0. I don't know. Is it too kamikaze to go out and try win it in the first 20 minutes, lads? How do you play it? Has anyone got any thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I think just going back to the draw, I think the draw's a really good result for us, because we almost know that they were happy with that and how they're going to approach this next leg. Then if they're happy with the draw at home, they're going to be pretty happy with the draw at Ellen Road. So had we won at Norwich, for instance, we'd know that they would be coming at us, from the first whistle, which could have been a little bit intimidating, and we could have conceded early. Whatever could have happened. So I believe that we will go for it, and I believe we'll try and get that early goal, because that ultimately changes their whole game plan. If they've come there for a 0-0 shithouse and slow play down, we just know Angus Gunn's going to keep the ball in his hands for 30 seconds at a time and take 40 seconds to do a goal kick and whatever else. So yeah, I think that is the only way we can kill the game, is get an early goal, force them to come on to us, and hopefully in transition get a second, potentially a third as well. So that suits us. That suits us as a team, because scoring early, I don't know the statistics on it, but I don't think if we've scored early this season, I don't think we've been beaten, have we? When we've scored an early goal. No. On the back of I think goals within the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that has to be the game plan, because that is our strength. Teams open up when they have to come and play against us. Yeah. And I think it suits our playing style, but not only playing style, our playing personnel as well. We've got some real quick, nippy, talented players there, and through transition, we're a different animal. So
you imagine Dan James, bro, and we're 1-0 up in the 60th minute, and they're having to come at us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
All over the top every time.
It's just. I made the claim before, Lockie. Like, I feel like if we get an early goal, it'll be a cakewalk for Leeds. That might be too confident, but I just think that they have to come and get something. Then, at which point we can just pick them off.
It is interesting, the whole dynamic that Norwich bring into it, that the longer the game goes on. Yeah. But again, like we're saying, if we start quick, suddenly that 20 minutes is a long 20 minutes to see through. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to start quick. That's pivotal for me because Wagner's coming out and saying the longer the game goes on, the crowd's going to get. Well, how long's that then? Because we can go for 20, 30 minutes relentless. We will do it because if we come out right and we're slow and we're passive, Norwich get confident. You know what happened. You know what Ellen Road will be like. We'll be nervous and rightfully so. Yeah. But if we come out in that 20 minutes of pure passion from Ellen Road fans lifting them players, they show that intensity and get us going as a fan base, which will already be rocking, by the way. That will be a tough ask for those Norwich players to deal with. That really will. Because suddenly then, we're trying to see them out here and they're all over us in the first 10 minutes and we can't get out of our box. I want to see intensity.
They'll be prepared for that though, Lucky. They'll be fully 100%. Prepared for us going for the first 10, 20 minutes, I think.
But that's it, look, you can be prepared, right? But once you get into that environment...
That's a difference, isn't it?
Yeah, and it could work for our players, the opposite as well, but we saw that against Derby. But I look at these young lads and they're all... One thing they are, look, they're naive, they make mistakes, rightfully so, they're young lads, that makes sense. But I've just got a feeling, and this could be pure just hype. I've just got a feeling on these stages, these guys want to play in the Premier League. That's clear. They think they can play higher than they can. This is a stage to prove that. I think this is perfect for them. I think we've almost got over that kind of end of season. Everyone was down. That performance was encouraging against Norwich. We did what we wanted to do, I think. I think that was fairly clear. We weren't fluid in the final third, but now it's time to be fluid in the final third. We've shown everything we can do defensively. We've shown many times this season how we can nullify Norwich's attack, and we need to do that again. We've got that. That's a blueprint. We've done that 2 games now where we've seen them out. And now we need them front players to shine. Them young lads need to play with no fear. And again, I'm looking at Archie Gray, a Leeds lad, used to go to the games all the time.
Still things marching on together in the tunnel, man.
This is a moment for him to step up now as that guy. And you've got players like Nonto, Somerville, who's getting more criticism than anyone, which is crazy for me, for things that I think are ridiculous, by the way. It's now time for him to silence those people. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's time for all these players. Look at each of them players and the amount of rubbish we've seen in the last few weeks with other fans, the stuff that's happened at the club. It's time for them to step up now. Be on our level that we're going to be at the stadium, because I guarantee that place is going to be rocking. They need to be on our level.
It certainly will. And Nigel Krasky, who's a Norwich fan and a regular watcher, big up Nigel, he makes a great point. Let's not forget, Andrea, Leeds United have been beaten twice this season. Had them defeats come at different times in the season, we'd be flying right now. We'd be going, well, we're being beaten twice, but it's because they've come so close to the end of the season, everyone's still nervy. But when you actually look at Norwich's away form as well, they're 19th, bro. They're down there with Sheff Wednesday, Huddersfield, Plymouth, Birmingham and Rotherham. That's their away form. They're really bad away from home. They've only got 2 more points than Sheff Wednesday away from home.
I think you can discard that Southampton game as from our home. I mean, I know we were beating them, but we had to go for it. You know what I mean? It was a different setup and everything. But yeah, I hear you. They are pretty shy on the road.
Yeah, really, really poor on the road. Does that come into it, Andrea?
Yeah, but I think the league is over, so the playoffs are a completely different game. And honestly, I don't think they'll come to an road in the first 20 minutes to sit back. I think they'll try to high press us, because I think they were pretty effective at the start of the game. The first 20 minutes will be key for both teams, because who wins the ball in midfield, who controls the game in midfield, controls, like I said, the possession. Because I think they'll try to, with Sarah, with McLean, with Nunez, they'll try to, gain the ground against Kamara and Gruyev. So I don't think they will set back. And that's why I will do it differently, honestly. I will do oriented pressing, not high pressing. And that's why Gray will be vital, because we'll know that they will try to put pressure up on Gruyev and Kamara. So Gray will be vital for the verticality, and it will be key to play quickly, to try to move the ball, to have quick decision making, to try to move them all around, either to Gray or just play the long ball towards Somerville or Gnonto, because we know that they play really narrow and they leave a lot of space on the wings. So that's how I think they will try it. So for the first 20 minutes, honestly, we need to stay calm, compose, collected, try to play with the ball possession, try to play quickly, not to rush, but be reasonable, try to move the ball quickly, try to connect with to get Kamara and Groove involved, because I think they struggled a bit at the start of the game at Carroll Road to get involved. We don't need the thing we don't need. We need to avoid at all costs is let Sarah, Nunez, and McLean take control of the midfield, because if they do, they get confidence, and then we see a different game plan for Norwich and a different game for us. And we've seen, talking about the league, of course, the form is another level, because the playoffs are a different game, are a book of its own, But the mentality matters. Yeah, the mentality matters, because we had 2 great chances to for our season at home, and we both did. We both didn't do it yet. Then with Blackburn and Southampton, we crumbled in those 2 games. So there's also these ghosts, hanging in the background, of the last 2 games when we needed to get the result and we didn't. So I think also Farke needs to push on that button, because it happened twice. We had the chance. Of course, it wasn't on our hands against Ipswich, but we didn't beat Southampton. So it would have been a different thing if we beat Southampton and then Ipswich beat Huddersfield, because we did our job then, back if that was the case. And it was all Ipswich doing, but it was also our doing, because we got beaten by Southampton at home. So I think you need to push that button also on the players' mentality, because I think if you try to get that nervous side of it, because we were nervous in both games, we were really rushing against Blackburn. We were leaving some space in the middle, because Smallish scored, but there were also 2 or 3 chances when they made the vertical pass and they had the chance to go through on goal. And we were really nervous and unplugged ourselves from the game after Southampton scored the first goal, and get nervous, try to play like that kind of basketball, like if I could call it, So it will be vital for me to try to stay calm, try to play with the ball possession system, try to use the space and get some movement off the ball, but not rushing at the start of the game, because I think we won't see much chances at the beginning, because both teams will try to study one another to see how we play. So I won't like to see the team rushing, because I think it will expose us to risks, unnecessary risk. We must remember that is a match with 90 minutes, so we don't need to rush. We need to get there in the end, but we need to get there with our own way. That needs to change ourselves, Do
you not agree that the more it goes on? Do you not agree with Wagner? The longer it goes on, that the more they'll be comfortable, and the more they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the same for us, I think, because I think they have tools to make us risk something, on the defensive end too. I think they're very similar to us in a certain way. So I think it stands for both team in the end, because I don't see them honestly sitting back for the whole game. I know that Wagner did that with Huddersfield, that like Joe pointed out, but with the quality they have, they're not used, like Loki showed in our scouting before the first leg. They're not used to defend. They're used to defending. We've seen plenty of slides with Sarah and McLean and the wingers that they didn't have a very good defending position, because they're not used to it.
They are rubbish at the back as well. That's their weak part, isn't it? They're rubbish.
Yeah, they have this thing and where they do sit deeper, and I don't think they're good in that. Anyone can sit deeper. I don't mean you're good at it. I don't mean it's effective. I want them to do that. I'm happy with that. I really am. Seriously, I think if they do that, we saw in the second half when we did control the ball and Kamara stepped up and really started dictating the intensity of the game. Look, again, we didn't create clear chances, but we dominated that last kind of 30 minutes. We were really on top. And if we bring that intensity with the crowd there, with that type of player when they're sitting back, I think that's a mistake from them.
Absolutely.
Brave to do that, for sure.
Yeah. What they need to do is place Sarah between the passing line, between our defenders and Grujev. If they do that, they force us on the wings with Byram and Firpo. So I think that's what they'll try to do, honestly, to be fair. They'll try to place Sarah to block the passing line, because we've seen that if you block our central play, you force us to play with the long ball to the wingers. Usually the long ball to the striker, but we don't have Bamford, and we've seen that Rotor is really poor in controlling those long balls, in getting at the end of those long balls. So that's why I said, Gray will be vital, because if Gray and Kamara are blocked, you need Gray to be like the free roaming player, the adjointed man, the extra man, in midfield to bail them out,
In terms of like lineup wise, obviously we know that Sargent got withdrawn with an ankle problem, but Wagner said that he's a tough guy, so we'll have to wait and see if he starts. I think they're going to be without
Barnes
up top as well. I don't think it can start. There's talk of maybe McCallum starting over Giannoulis as well, and I don't rate McCallum at all when I've seen him this season anyway, and I thought he looked pretty poor when he came on, so I don't know if Giannoulis has picked up another knock. I'm not too sure, but from a Leeds United perspective, what do we think lineup wise? Do we? I know we've said probably would like Pirro over Rutter, but do you just think that Rutter has so many game-changing moments to call upon this season? He's just a player you can't drop just in case he does do that. Is there? I mean, Roberts. I thought Luke made a great shout with Roberts. I think that, especially at home when we need to be the aggressor, he's going to be able to bomb down that wing, and he's already showed us this season he can get into good positions. So I think Roberts is a great shout. I think he'll go with Rutter just because of he can change a game like that, can't he, if he's on it. Does anyone else advocate anything different?
I'd go Rutter. Have I got an agenda because I really like him? Yes, but you know what? I've always got this thing with him. It's kind of this. He's extremely frustrating. But I've seen it's with Rutter, it's within games as well. They can do something in a game that's unbelievable. He can do something in a game that's terrible. But I agree, against Norwich, he was poor for the most part. There wasn't even any one thing really that you thought, oh, that was unbelievable. But I don't know. When he got brought off, was it the other day? Was it that against Norwich? I can't remember when he punched the side of the thing.
Yeah.
We've not seen that before. He usually when he comes off, he usually looks quite meek, quite shy, sits down, sort of goes, yeah. But we saw an anger to him, and I think that's a lot of times that can be a player taking responsibility, and a bit looking from personal perspective when you do come off, sometimes you just kind of whatever, but sometimes you played really bad and you are eager to change that, and that depends on the personality of the player, right? I really hope that if that was the case and Daniel Farke's noticed how angry he was, not just annoyed, he was angry when he came off, that can be a catalyst to perform and turn up and be the guy that we saw earlier on in the season. I get it's a risk, obviously, because he didn't play well. He's not played really well in a while. But again, this now is a totally different stage. There's 2 finals left now. There's 2 finals when you think about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it. This is a final that you've got to win, and then you've got a final at Wembley to win. And I don't know. Pirro for me, I think it's a good option. I think when he does come on, and again, when he came on, I actually thought he was all right. When Anthony came on as well, shout out to Anthony. I thought when he came on, the combinations with him and Kamara were really good. And I think they're good subs. I do, especially in this stage with Norwich, where you can stretch them easily. I think bringing a guy like Anthony on, who's going to be busy, a guy like Pirro who's going to come on, I like that. So I'm going off topic here, but I'm sure some of you guys disagree, but I'm starting Rutter. I just got a feeling that he could be the one that could take us to Wembley. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do disagree, and I'll give you my reasons why. So Connor Roberts, I'd be advocating to start simply because there's absolutely no chance that we let Norwich control the game like we did at Carrow Road. Absolutely none. We just won't let that happen. So I think as Joe rightly said, we will be the aggressor, and I just think he offers so much. Well, we know he offers so much more going forward than Sam Byron does. And the Rutter Pirro thing, I think Pirro's been used as a sub so many times this season, and 90% of the time has been relatively ineffective. We've not seen really Rutter come off the bench in a game, and I just think Pirro's your more natural striker. Look, he can't offer any less than what Rutter offered on Sunday. For me, I thought Rutter was probably arguably one of our worst players, if not the worst player on the field. And why not see Rutter come off the bench? We know how good he is. Imagine him coming off fresh at 60 minutes when Pirro's been... I mean, he doesn't put himself about all that much, but there'll be some tired legs out there after 60 minutes. Bring Rutter on and let him and Dan James go at Norwich for the last half an hour if needed. You know, we might be in a great position by then. And that's my predominant reasons. But I just think we need somebody who's going to be a little bit more advanced than what Rutter was, because I think Rutter still played in the 10. As your graphics showed, he still played as a number 10. We almost played with 2 number 10s and no striker, didn't we, against Norwich at times? So we will need somebody who can. I mean, ideally, as I said before, we'd love it to be Patrick Bamford, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be available this season. So I think the only other option, other than Matteo Joseph, who he doesn't seem to fancy, or I think it's probably a little bit too much weight on his of expectation on his shoulders at the moment, is Joel Pirot, and that's my only reason. I don't suppose there's any right or wrong reasons, but
no, I will do the same, honestly. Like Lou said, you know, Roberts and Pirot, because I think, you know, in the 9, you know, especially for what Lucky said, you know, about Gray, we need a number 9 staying forward and, you know, like playing like a link up. You know, like you pass the ball to him. I don't like when Pirot, you know, he stays too much with the ball on his feet, you know, because he usually loses it. So I would like him to, you know, to try to be like a link-up player, because we know that he doesn't make runs in behind. He doesn't try to use the depth. And like we've seen him, you know, when he's subbed on, we've seen him many times, you know, playing in the 10. I would like to see what he does in the 10, in the 9 in this game, honestly. You know, try to protect the ball, one touch to the winger, you know, because I think the space for the wingers, we know that they're pretty narrow to get in behind. Also, we've seen the central run from Gray. So we know that Pirot doesn't offer you depth, that he doesn't get at the end of long balls. So if you play Pirot, like we've seen what we want to do with the number 9, because we've seen that we played with try to play long balls to Rutter. He struggles to get at the end of them. We started to see also, you know, passes to Rutter with the back on goal. He struggles because he always tries to dribble past the player, and he lost the ball many times at Carrow Road. I think Pirot is good in doing that, you know, one touch, pass, one touch, pass. When he tries to play one touch, another touch, tries to control the ball, gets behind players, between players, I think he really struggles to, Pirot. But if you want to play him in that way, I think he can, you know, decoy a player from the defensive line and create space, because we've seen that the defensive line is really narrow for either for Gray or one of the wingers to for the running behind, you know. And I would like to see him stay more forward than what Rutter did at Carrow Road, but also stay more wide, because I think the same for Gray. You know, I think if he goes not very wide, but, you know, tries to drift towards the wingers, he can go there. They can pass the ball to him, and they can make the run like we see in the graphic with Firpo or Gray, like Clarky showed. You know, to try to make the run in behind and get on goal. You know, behind the defensive line, because we know that we have some very pacey wingers. And another one in contention, but I don't think he will do it because of the fitness problem, is Dan James. I think these games really suits Dan James. I think Gnonto decision making was questionable at Carrow Road. Also, he got a little bit lost after complaining with ref too much. So with the narrowness at the back, I think if there's space for James to play his best game in terms of how he fit into this kind of game, you know.
I think
But the fitness is the problem still, you know. Already, he came back after just last game, so I don't think he has 90 minutes. But maybe you can start him, then you bring in Gnonto around the 60, 65 minutes, you know, seeing how the game goes, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did a video about literally the start of the season about Rutter and his position, and I think I've seen you say it as well, Luke. I think he'd be a brilliant winger. I really do. I think he's everything he did at Hoffenheim, and look, he played parts too at Hoffenheim at times. He sometimes played on the wing a little bit, but a lot of his good work at Hoffenheim, a lot of his most effective work was out wide. 1v1 with a defender, when he's confident, he's unstoppable, and the way he can drive into a box, win a foul. Yeah, that won't happen. Obviously, you're not going to change your role now, but just something I found interesting. You know, Rutter on the wing, not in the 9, something that really appeals to me. again, I don't think that's something that'll happen in a few days. Obviously, that'll take time to learn new roles and stuff like that. But yeah, he is struggling at the moment, Roy. I'm not denying that. I think I don't know. I've just got a feeling about him. I don't know what it is.
I think you're probably right.
I can see him celebrating at Ellen Road.
I think Farker probably will go with what you're saying, but I think those are the two changes. If I was getting paid mega amount of money every week, that I'd potentially make.
Right, I think that's.
Did Roberts come on?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, he did.
Did he come on?
Yeah.
So he's fit, right?
Yeah, he did. Come on, boys. Just a bit of a left field one before we finish up. Do we back us if we go to penalties at all? If it has to go that way, do we back us at Ellen Road?
Pirro, Somerville,
Yeah.
and James.
No, nah. Keep that.
No, not James. Not James.
Pascal, Firpo. We've got loads of good penalty takers.
Pascal.
No, I think
Pascal scored a belter early in the season, didn't he? Who did he?
Yeah.
He's injured, didn't he?
I know he is. Yeah.
I
Firpo
think.
missed one though, didn't he? In the cup against Salford.
I know Rota did.
Yeah, against Salford. No, Salford went in, I think.
James, nah.
No,
Neither of them.
Keep them away.
They're not clean strikers of a ball, are they? They always look to drag it.
No, let's make them in order. From the first taker to the final one. Pirro, yeah, first one.
Somerville.
I
think he'll go
yeah,
three
second.
for-
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Then
You're looking
I
at
don't
know.
Ampadu. I think Amps would take one.
Ampadu
Ampadu
will
took one
take
for
it, yeah.
Wales, actually, as well. Ampadu took one
honestly,
for
Rodden
Wales.
too. I fancy Rodden too. Honestly,
Yeah.
as a penalty taker. Honestly, because he will smash the ball.
Yeah.
Jaden Anthony, if he's on.
Jaden
Roberts,
Anthony,
if
yeah.
he's on. Roberts.
The final one.
Roberts as well. Roberts.
I will take Anthony as the final one.
All the
Gruev.
Gruev, yeah. I think Gruev could take one.
I can see
Because he takes dead balls, he takes crosses and all that. I think he finds the back of the net.
Honestly, I will not be there if that happens. I hate them.
It'd be bad.
The horrible things.
Right, I'm gonna just run through some quick stats and then we'll get some
Yeah,
score
you
predictions.
English know a little bit about the penalties.
Oh, here we go. We'll run through some. I'll just give you a few quick stats, and then I want to know if we're going to progress and the method in which we progress. Is it extra time, penalties, or in 90 minutes, and what's the score? Yeah. So Leeds now winless in 3, drawn 1, lost 2. Do have a strong home form and a decent history of success against Norwich. We've got a 5-game unbeaten run against Norwich, 1-4 and drawn 1. So haven't lost in 5. Don't know whether that's a good omen or a bad one. We've failed to gain promotion via the playoffs in 5 attempts as well. So there's them key things to think about when you're going through. I'm gonna start us off. I think we do it in regulation time, 2-0. I think it's quite comfortable. I'm actually quite confident. Luke, you're nodding your head. Give us yours now, then.
I said exactly the same on our predictions last night. 2-0. I think we'll go 1-0 up early doors. They'll try chasing the game, and we'll score a second, and then we'll protect that lead.
Nice, like that. Let's go Andrea next.
2-1 extra time.
Oh, you're horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. So 1-1 regulation, and then we win in extra time, or?
Yeah. I think we score first, they equalize extra time, and we score the winner in extra time.
Fair. I'll just get this super chat before I get yours in, Lockie. Magnus says, Farker trusts Joseph at Chelsea, but not one league start. That's crazy. I think it's more because it was a cup game, mate, against Chelsea. Worst case, it doesn't work like GI and Pirro most times in the 9. And we sub. Yeah, no, I think that's fair, Magnus. I just don't think he's going to do it now, with only 2 games left to say. But listen, if Leeds don't get promoted, I fully expect Joseph to be our new number 9 next season, to be honest. Right, Lockie finishes off with some positives, hopefully.
Well, I'll be there, so I don't want to envision a loss, or that'd be the worst day of my life. You know what? Right, we're gonna go 1-0 down. We're gonna win. We're gonna win 2-1. Right, we're gonna get a goal in 85th minute, and then just defend for 10 minutes. And then it's gonna be insane.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm not too sure I could deal with going 1-0 down if I'm being
Early on
honest.
as well from a corner or something horrible like that.
It's gonna be a mad one. But listen, as long as we progress, that's all that matters. Can I just ask from you as well, folks, who you want in the final? I think I probably know the answers, or I've asked before, but let me just quickly ask. If we do progress tomorrow, Friday night, it's Southampton versus West Brom. Who do you want in the final, Locker?
West Brom.
Yeah, Andrea.
Yeah.
I want this West Brom in the semi-final, so West
What,
Brom.
you're going to say Brest Brom then?
By the West Brom. Yeah.
Going to West
Brentford.
Brom. Yeah.
No, West Brom. WBA.
WBA, yeah. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I'm not fussed. I think we win the final if we get there.
You're a brave man. You're a brave. I'm not convinced, but yeah. I was so confident up until final day, and then I was like, nah, playoffs, nah, it's not for us.
I think Southampton was a completely different game to how we'd usually play a game that last game of the season. I don't think we can really take much from that. They schooled us earlier on in the season, but I think a Leeds Wembley, different kettle of fish. Nobody's beating us at Wembley.
Do you know what the best thing is? I got a text off Locks as well saying I'm absolutely dreading. Like he said, I'm dreading it if you go up through playoffs because we're all gonna look like absolute knobheads. And I was like, I would love nothing more. All that falling apart again stuff and wearing Prem, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it? So
I predict a riot over the tannoids at Wembley.
I know, yeah, it'd be fucking brilliant. Look, folks, make sure you check out Ought to Know Better. Make sure you check out Lucky Leeds. Make sure you check out Andrea on Twitter as well. I pre-recorded a video that's due out in the morning, so get your chops on that. And then I'll be live at 7 o'clock on the night, obviously, for the big one. The big one as Leeds take on Norwich at Ellen Road. Thanks, everyone, for watching tonight. Please smash a like on your way out and subscribe, and we'll see you in a bit. Peace out, folks. Bye-bye.